So I'm going to go through some case studies, a lot of the um, challenges and then also benefits will be covered in both of these case studies. The one thing you'll kind of pick up on is even if you do something perfect, there are always limitations to the technology. There are always issues that you have to work through. So both jobs were presented with issues, but I'm going to try and present at least a good case, a bad case study initially, and then go into a good case study just so you can kind of see the differences between the two and how we handled those. So this first one I'm going to jump into, it was a light rail project, $330 million dollars. There was a cost loaded schedule, and the structure of that cost loaded schedule was established at execution time. So I came on this job at execution time after the bid phase. The job had been won. There was no estimate schedule that the baseline schedule tied to. So this cost loaded schedule that I basically adopted was already built for me, and I had to go through the process of cost loading this schedule, and it being a cost loaded schedule that the structure was established really by the owner, but it was established late in the process. There obviously were some challenges of trying to align our structure with that owner's preferred structure. It was a pay out of schedule type of job. So we submitted a schedule that was cost loaded. The owner would say yes or no, and based on the percent complete and the dollars of actual cost in that schedule is what we would get paid on a monthly basis. So you can imagine with it being cost loaded, pay by schedule, the person who developed the baseline schedule made it very detailed, which happens quite often. Oftentimes when it's a pay by schedule and it's going to be cost loaded, you break it down into minute detail so that you can get cost benefits back from submitting a schedule. So when I accept a piece of equipment, I wanted to say, oh, here's my acceptance. I want to get paid for that. Here's the percent complete. Instead of having those higher level line items that you kind of have to guess what the percent complete of is for accepting delivery and storing it because it's not ready to be installed yet, things like that. So it was a very detailed schedule. And because of that, we had to do a lot of magic, I'll say, mapping with these structures to make it work. Um, you can see right here, it presented itself with a lot of side spreadsheet work, a lot of maintenance on a monthly basis. So when I got to the job, they handed me the schedule, they handed me the control budget, and they said, okay, we need you to map these. So I put together two spreadsheets, like you saw Dom present earlier, and it was side spreadsheets. It was on my local machine on my computer, so only really I had access to it. And on a monthly basis, if there was change orders or changes to how things were, dollar amounts were in the budget, I had to go through every time and adjust those. And it was down to a resource assignment level within my schedule. And it was a very detailed schedule. So I think we had somewhere around 10,000 line items in a $330 million job. It was a lot of manual labor that had to go into this. And that really, what I tie that back to is really the structures being established late. Like I said, there was no estimate schedule. There was an estimate, obviously, that we won the job off of. And then we went and baselined at baseline time with a schedule that had nothing to do really with the estimate because they weren't tied together. So what scope was where within that schedule was really up to me to figure out. And I'm the scheduler coming into execution time, not being on the bid. I mean, it was me just kind of going blind into this and guessing. So there was a lot of growing pains with this schedule early on. I threw this network diagram on here just to show complexity of that schedule. It was very complex. There were relationships everywhere. It was a 10,000 line item schedule. You can imagine. I mean, there's start to starts, finish to finishes, finish to starts, all over the board. It was hard to tell what linked to what. On top of that, it was a light rail job and it went in segments. So if one segment changed and we decided to do segment two before segment one for whatever reason, then I had to change a ton of logic within there. And on top of that, make sure the budget aligned with what we had in the cost control budget on the control side. So with that side spreadsheet, it was very manual. It was a very detailed schedule, and there was absolutely scope creep. So not knowing what scope was where from the get-go created scenario where when scope was added, we had to go do our due diligence as best as we could within this detailed schedule to say, is this scope already covered somewhere, or are we not accounting for it? And if we weren't accounting for it, then we had to get it in there and get it cost loaded and then hopefully get paid for it down the line. So it just became a pain in the butt to deal with on a monthly basis, honestly, if we're going to be honest. It was not a pleasant one, but I did take a lot of lessons learned from that.